Hi, I'm Steve Garrett, and I want to talk to you about a leadership lab that is has been used many times in my district, but with a little bit of a change. It's called the Soma Puzzle Leadership Lab, and this involves a gadget or a puzzle, a piece, something has to be put together, a widget, whatever you want to call it, and a small group of participants. In a way, it's very much like the old telephone game, where one person tells another person, and by the time you get to the end of the line, the story has little or nothing to do with the story that started. It also involves the ability to see an object in multi dimensions. Um, it's a little bit of a leadership lab. It's a little bit of a communications lab. It's a little bit of a problem solving lab. I think it's a real fun lab. The Soma Cube is a solid puzzle invented by Danish mathematician Piet Hein in 1933. He used it to illustrate a lecture on quantum mechanics. We're going to use it for something a little more simple than that. But it's essentially a 3x3 cube. Now, you can get these cubes from Amazon, and you can look it up as a Soma Cube, and you can find it in a cube that's all the same color, or you can find it in a cube that has got 7 pieces that are each a different color. Personally, I kind of like the idea of a cube of all the same colors. It just seems like a little bit more of a challenge to me. The staffing for this is you need one Rotarian to act as the moderator to give instructions. And you really need a few other Rotarians to monitor the activity. There are some rules, and we want to make sure that everybody follows those rules. Of course, that's what makes it a little more interesting and challenging. The timing for this lab is, it's about an hour. It takes a while to explain it, set it up, and it takes a while to run the activity. You only got 7 pieces to put together, but believe me, it's not as easy as you might think it is. And then, of course, there's the debriefing time. You start off with, you start off with 3 tables spaced apart and a little area in the middle. The one table is for the observers. And on that particular table, that's where you're going to put your example puzzle widget Soma Cube. You're going to put that inside of a cardboard box so that only the person who's authorized can see it. Nobody else can see it. Now, you can use one cube for several teams and have them all use it as their observation piece, or you can have each participating team have their own cube. Then you need a table for the parts department. And the parts department, he's got the 7 pieces, and the manager of the parts department, well, he's in charge of controlling the parts department. The other person involved here is the builder, the person that's actually going to build the puzzle, to put the whole thing together. And they get a little table on their own there to do that with. The next part of the whole activity is a manager. And of course, I'm not exactly sure what a manager does, but though I was one, but managers call group meetings when they need to. Managers can wander around, but they can't look at the puzzle itself, and they can't look at the puzzle that's being assembled. But they can wander around and help people and motivate people and encourage people. And that's what a manager does. And then you've got a person who talks to the observer. The observer tells him what this thing looks like. This person's, we're going to call the designer. And the designer then goes over and tells the parts department what part he needs. And he can communicate to the parts department where that part goes. So he's designing it, and he's communicating that to the parts department. And then you get the parts department gives the piece to the runner and explains to the runner what he has learned about where this particular piece goes in the puzzle. And the runner takes it over and gives it to the builder. And again, the runner explains to the builder what she has heard, what she has been privy to as to where this particular piece goes in the puzzle. Now, obviously, the builder is the person who then builds the puzzle. The builder is the person who takes the piece and puts it in the right place. Then you have the quality control technician. And the quality control technician gets to look at the part that the builder is putting together and describe it to the quality controller. He goes back over to where the example control, the example is, and he tells the quality controller what it looks like. Now the quality controller, he basically is stuck with listening to what the quality control technician says, and he can look at the part and say, "No, thumbs up, looks good," or he can say, "Nope, we're doing something wrong here." But that's all he can say. He's just a affirmative or a negative opinion. Now, the goal is for each group to make their gadget puzzle look like the one that is supposed to be an absolute cube. And once they've accomplished that, well, then it's time to do a debriefing. And there's a lot of questions that can be asked about the debriefing. I guess one of my favorite questions is, what does the manager do? And you do the debriefing, and then you can do a little debriefing for the whole group at one time. It's I think it's a pretty fun leadership lab. It's simple in appearance. You get the Soma Cube and you lay the 7 pieces out, leaving out all the complexities of 8 people trying to do this thing. And sometimes people have a very difficult time turning it into a cube. So give the Soma Cube a try. I prefer it without colors because it makes it a little more complicated. And I'm Steve Garrett. Thank you for listening.